You have to wait.
It is live now, Bhanteji. We can start. Yes.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagavaraham samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisadamma sarati satta deva manusanang buddho bhagavati namo tassa samma sambuddhassa swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipassiko apanayako pachatang vedittabbo vinnohiti namo tassaniyanika sadammasa supatipanno bhagavato savaka sango ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sango nyaya patipanno bhagavato savaka sango samichi patipanno bhagavato savaka sango yadidam chattari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala esa bhagavato savaka sango आहुनेयो बाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलि करणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकसाति नमो तस्स अट्ट आर्य पुग्गला महासंगसा. Okay, so today's topic is about this equanimity and also what is this equanimity index, the measurement, the scale of equanimity, how one can progress step by step in this equanimity, the different approaches to develop equanimity and progress in equanimity. All those things come under this equanimity index. And now coming to this equanimity, now it is very significant all over the world. This the concept of equanimity in the medical circles, among these doctors and psychotherapists, they are talking about this equanimity, which looks like more like a religious term. So now its importance, significance in handling a lot of issues, lot of not just mental issues related to the mental health aspects. It's also about in the profession, in the family, the society, politics, everywhere. The role of equanimity is discussed. Is taking a lot. It's the forefront. It is like say, it is widely discussed. So the scientists, the scientific research also, it's proving the importance of equanimity at the time of not only at the time of distress and anxiety, even at the time of excitement and happiness, the thrill. During that time also, the role of equanimity is very much appreciated, is very much required in all aspects of life. So that way, there is a lot of importance in understanding equanimity. That is first point. Second thing is like so to understand equanimity, you should understand the opposite of it. What exactly is the opposite of equanimity? So then understanding equanimity becomes a little easy. And the second thing is, while understanding equanimity, the second aspect is what is not equanimity. Though it looks like equanimity, Though a few things they look like equanimity, but they're not equanimity. Rather, so they corrupt our minds and they may disturb us more. Though you are pretending you are looking like equanimous, but it is actually it is disturbing your mind. It is not the natural or the authoritative way of establishing in equanimity. So that kind of pseudo equanimity, that also will understand. And also sometimes some forced equanimity also, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So what are the authoritative way of establishing in equanimity and progressing in equanimity? That also we should see. And then uh, of course, the different meditation techniques, the right view approaches, we will see. And before that, in all religions also equanimity is very much appreciated. Of course, with their own views, there are so many kinds of, say, establishing equanimity. And what are the basic laws, basic principles that will help in establishing in equanimity authoritatively? Those things also we'll see. And of course, then we will see a little bit about the equanimity index. And maybe next week, if possible, we can relate this equanimity index with the enlightenment index also. How enlightenment index, that means the scale, the progress in enlightenment is dependent on the progress in your equanimity. That also maybe we can see in one or two talks. I think we have to cover all these things. Now coming to this, say the opposite of equanimity. What is the opposite of equanimity? Like say when the mind is disturbed, when the mind is say fluctuating in say too much happiness or too much suffering, too much excitement or too much disappointment, too much enjoyment or too much boredom, too much anxiety or too much depression. So, so counter that. So the mind should come to one kind of balance, and that is what is equanimity. The mind, because of its weakness, it always reacts to something that pleases our senses, pleases our ego, with lot of excitement. Because we hold on to this understanding of happiness as the essential happiness or the ego inflation as the happiness, and we lot of problems. And because of that only we can't understand the happiness of equanimity. This is very important. All the spiritual people, especially in the right view this religious approach or the right view approach, equanimity is very much emphasized, not just because of coming out of these extremes or these opposites of excitement and disappointment. It is to show that there is happiness, the true happiness, the real happiness in equanimity. The best, the sophisticated, the subtle happiness, not even the subtle, the best happiness is in equanimity. That's what is the mission. That's what is the objective of all religions, for that matter. Even among the atheists, also the true atheists who they decide to become atheists, so their interest is also like to derive happiness in equanimity. Though people they think that they have some strong beliefs in theistic values or atheistic values, but they get carried away sooner or later with this kind of extremes, with excitements and disappointments. When that hold becomes quite strong in the wrong views, then automatically one will fall into these extremes, the excitements and disappointments. Then the mind will lose its wisdom and freedom. Because of that reason, all the wise people, all the say, wise religious people or wise, say, non-religious people also, They appreciate that the equanimity is the ground for wisdom and freedom. And also it is the ground for true compassion and true love. That it is the foundation, it is the ground for not just for your wisdom and freedom. For all nice things, beautiful things of the mind, if you want to list out. So many things you can list out, all the best things that you can derive from your mind. The ground for all those best things, whether it is intellectual best things or emotional best things like love, compassion, for that also your equanimity is the ground, it is the basis. For your intellectual superior qualities of the mind, like your wisdom, freedom, for that also the equanimity is the foundation. So in that way, so one should, so of course, the world is realizing the importance of equanimity. So the opposites, like as I told you, the opposites of equanimity, it's not just your anxiety, it's not just your restlessness, it's not just your, say, tension, hypertension, or stress. It is the other way around also. Even your excitements, the say, your the overreactiveness of the mind, or uncontrolled joy. So all these things also, like, they're opposites of equanimity, because all these highs, they end up in the low zone. All these excitements, they will again say they will go in the opposite direction. That is, like, say, the disappointments. So for both disappointment and excitement, equanimity is the solution. In that sense, the opposite of equanimity is not just your disappointments or anxiety or stress. Even the excitements, even over too much carried away by these thrills and joys, uncontrolled thrills and joys and excitements, they are also opposite of equanimity. Because though they are momentary excitement that will produce some say exciting chemicals, the chemicals that will excite your mind and body, will create some kind of very pleasant sensations, but the body and mind. But again, you will go in the opposite direction. It will produce some unpleasant sensations, because this pleasantness and unpleasantness always they go together. So in that way, equanimity has to be built very wisely. At the same time, one should not say completely avoid the excitements and the enjoyments of the life. But once we are going through these ups and downs, an understanding of equanimity, if it is in the background, then one will not be too much carried away in these excitements and disappointments. And this knowledge of equanimity, this understanding of equanimity, this wisdom of equanimity, it will not allow you to get completely get carried away in these extremes of excitement and disappointment, and lose your mind, lose your, say, this your purpose in the life, your motivation in the life, or your objectives in the life, in any field, your profession, career, spirituality, in handling your own mind, your relations with the people, all these aspects, the backdrop of equanimity, the support of equanimity is always of great importance. So in that way, it handles these opposites of excitement and disappointment in an authoritative way. So because of that reason, one should learn about this equanimity. And what are the say proximal this some kinds of equanimity which looks like equanimity, but they're not exactly the equanimity. They're like the enemies, the hidden enemies. What is that? Like, say, some kind of too much resisting mind, ignoring every damn thing in the life. completely rejecting and ignoring and completely creating a shell around you and complete that wretchedness or that kind of long face, keeping that long face, seeing everything. Some people think that is equanimity. Completely disconnecting from the whole, say, uh, uh, the sense impulses or even the knowledge impulses from the world. That is not equanimity. That kind of, or sometimes complete indifference to the world. Mm. So that is also not equanimity. It is like accepting everything, at the same time understanding the nature of everything, and with that keeping the mind equanimous. That is really what is required to grow in this scale of equanimity, in this index of equanimity. So because of that reason, the very close say enemies, you can say, or the hidden enemies of equanimity is this kind of wretchedness or this kind of say indifference, absolute closedness. Mm. That is also dangerous. Like it will make some kind of, it leads to some kind of, say, your feelings getting boiled up in your own mind, and it may burst out sometime. uh, or say your intelligence will not develop towards the true equanimity if you're thinking that simply resisting everything, simply say becoming indifferent to everything. In that way, if you define equanimity by yourself, then you may not develop correctly, wisely in this equanimity index or equanimity scale. So that is one kind of hidden enemy of equanimity, this kind of indifference. But initially, when some lot of pressure is there, which is disturbing your mind and which will definitely put you into some kind of extremes of excitement or disappointment, there, some kind of forced this indifference, uh, it works. But one should not completely depend on this forced indifference and completely avoid the skills and the ways and means to develop the true equanimity. That one should not do. So one should always wisely understand and develop through meditations, through all the right view techniques. One should develop equanimity. Then one can progress in equanimity authoritatively. Okay, so this is the hidden enemy, so that you should understand. And the true enemies of equanimity, like anxiety or depression or the excitements and disappointments. So those things also one should understand. So then understanding equanimity becomes easy. Hmm. So what is equanimity now? So it is like, say, having that balance, as I was telling you, the mind always the world, it pulls you this side and that side. Hmm. Like in a journey in a mountain area. So there are so many curves. One curve may in one curve you may have to take left, in one curve you may have to take right. Hmm. So in that way, that balancing you should do. You can't directly keep going the same direction all the time. So that kind of balancing when you are falling into some kind of anxiety. So coming back to the means, when you are falling into depression, again coming back to so the balance, the normalcy, that normalcy, that means, that balance, that is what is equanimity. So that one should first achieve generally, because the humans are more an emotional, say, emotional beings. So with the emotions, we should try to achieve the balance or this normalcy or this state. Um, this coming to the means, avoiding extremes, that one should achieve. So all these, suppose even the psychiatric approaches, the psychotherapy approaches also, they insist on some balanced emotions, and all the religions they definitely insist on the balanced emotions. Hmm. So this these psychotherapists, psychologists, and the doctors now that is the most prone profession, handling the other person's emotions, other person's problems, whether it is physical health problems or mental health problems, uh, where there is lot of say uh, risk is there for the doctors and the psychologists. So then definitely they will be under a lot of stress and lot of anxiety, lot of imbalance, and they also require lot of equanimity, not just the patients. Psychological is the patients, the mind patients, are the patients with the psychological problems. Even the therapists, even the psychotherapists, they require a lot of balance and a lot of equanimity. Equanimity is like the buffer, or is like say one solution where these extremes will be dissolved, whether the extremes of the people whom you are handling, because automatically it gets induced. If some patient is explaining, for example, one patient with some psychological problems, if he is explaining his problems to a doctor or a psychologist, then automatically those defilements will affect the healers or the doctors or the psychologists also, and they too will get disturbed. And that is one of the main reasons why you can see the suicide cases, the suicide attempts are more among this section of the say society, like these healers, these psychologists, and these doctors. That's what the research says. The most affected uh, group or profession is this healers, these medicos, psychologists or the doctors, because they are in touch with these patients who are for having this kind of defilements or these extremes. When those ideas are bombarding the healers, then they get affected. They become like they lose the balance. So because of that reason, also now the medicos and the psychoanalysts or psychologists or psychotherapists, they are understanding or they are learning about the importance of equanimity. Hmm. Like it is like a sponge. It absorbs, like say, all the negativities, and also it lets go, and it easily it can let go the things. If the equanimity is not there, then if you will be in your own idea of healing, then if something else, if you are exposed from your patients, then if that doesn't match your idea and their problems, then you will be under a lot of anxiety. Hmm. Because of that equanimity, by letting go of your own ideas, of your own say solutions, also if you just let go, then only you can come to that equanimity, that equipoise. Then some creative ideas are blending your ideas with the patient's needs in an authoritative way, possible in that way. Equanimity, as I was telling you, it is the ground for wisdom and freedom of one's own, whether he is a healer or he is a patient, uh, or whether he is a wretched person carried away with lot of imbalanced emotions, or whether he is a good person. Even the good emotions also, if they're extreme, then they create a problem. So in that way, equanimity is very much appreciated in all aspects of life, in all fields of life, even in this medical field also, because of the importance of both the healers or the medicos and the people, patients, those who require treatment. So this equanimity is very much appreciated, and it has become an integral part in so many psychotherapy techniques, like your cognitive behavioral therapy, this mindfulness-based behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. So many therapies they are designing the medical field, there also this equanimity has become an integral part of all these kinds of therapies, without which no therapy can become successful, either from the therapist's point of view or from the patient's point of view. This equanimity is playing a major role. So this is one thing. Second is like in the religions, all religions, whether it is theistic religions or the non-theistic views, where they don't give much importance to the Creator God. They give importance to something else like morality, like ethics. They give, like in Confucianism and all, some religions, they give importance to ethics. All ethics, all the moral principles, their their intention, the core intention is to achieve this equanimity. Good for me, good for others. So that very concept of good for me, good for others, again, which is the core concept for this law of this cause and effect. If you are good, then you will good, then you will get back the good. If you are bad, you will get back the bad. So that kind of a law of cause and effect, and based on that, people are performing good things, practicing ethics, practicing morality. If not, like say, the creator God or some God will punish you. With that kind of beliefs, also people, they try to be moral, they try to be say they want to be peaceful, and they want to uh, say create that kind of ideas or that kind of thoughts on others. Hmm. Happiness for others, happiness for oneself. So that kind of so balance, that kind of say creating good for me, good for others, that kind of approach. It is based on either believing in the gods or believing in just happiness. The atheistic approach or the theistic approaches. So that is like saying, if they are truly understood the core principles of any of these approaches, then equanimity will be appreciated. Some people are sticking onto some views. They become extremists either in these atheistic approaches, like the communistic or nextlights. They become too violent, too disturbed, or these the extremists or terrorists of from some religions also. They also become completely lose their balance because of they have stretched their views to an extreme place or too much, and because of that they end up in a lot of disturbance, too much excitement and too much disturbance, too much disappointments they go through, and they have lost that view completely. But in general, all the views, they have some aspect of equanimity embedded, ingrained. That is the very purpose of those who have created those views. Uh, It is not just to make them extremists or not just to make them get carried away in the excitements and disappointments. Surrendering to the higher will, like some God or creator God. So everything is like his play, the creator's play. So I don't have say greater role here. That kind of surrendering to the will of the creator, that also makes you more equanimous. If you think you have to do, you have to fix the problems of the world, then you will be more disturbed. Because of that reason, all these theistic ideas have come up in this world. But if you stretch it too much, I represent greater God. It is all my problem to fix all the problems of the world. In that way, if people think, then their minds get corrupted or disturbed or say, affected with this too much excitements and disappointments, and then they lose the equanimity. But the creation of so many views are based on establishing equanimity among the minds of the followers. That is the intent. All religions. In Hinduism, the call for, say, surrendering to the, the creator or is to say not get too much, say, self-obsessed I should do good, I should do bad, I should do this, I should not do this. But too much obsession about that self, that will again disturb you, that will harm your equanimity. And if you submit that very I, then again you will end up in equanimity and peace. That way. So they say, no, no, I want peace. That I is there, that is again, that is an hindrance for your peace. And that want is there. Again, that wanting is a hindrance for peace. And I and want, if it is removed by submitting yourself, some law, some principle, some God, where this I is also not there, want is also not there, simply submitting to that peace or to that uh, person who symbolizes that peace, then you get peace, then you get equanimity. That kind of that belief-based approaches, they will definitely give some kind of peace and equanimity. So in that way, all religions also they emphasize on the importance of equanimity. Now we will see this right view approach of establishing in equanimity. There's a lot of information, the understanding in this right view approach of establishing in peace and equanimity. Like as many of you are into these meditation courses, the four wholesome feelings, the emotions, the wholesome emotion, wholesome feelings, like the metta, karuna, mudita, upekka. So metta, of course, like say that loving kindness, one should start understanding what is loving kindness and start giving that loving kindness to oneself first, and then keep it expanding or keep it radiating to all other beings around you. First to the respectable ones, then to the near and dear ones, then to the neutral ones, then even to the enemies, then to the animals, then to all other beings. So in that way, if you say the same feeling that you look for yourself, your welfare, your well-being, the same thing if you start wishing for others unconditionally, without any I-ness and I-ness, my people, other people. So if you keep on expanding, then you are growing in equanimity. The more your love, unconditional love, just like you wish your welfare, the same way you start wishing welfare for everyone. And when it becomes more and more expanded, and when it becomes more and more unconditional and boundaryless, borderless, so in that way, if you keep expanding, then automatically you become, you will not be carried away with this I-ness and minus. You will not be carried away with this wanting or hating. Just that very expansion of wish of well-being of say everyone, starting from yourself. Whether it is your own people or other people, whether it is loved ones or hostile ones. When this wish keeps on expanding, then automatically your say mind falling into these likings and dislikings. Yeah, you will come out of this grip or this foolishness of the mind always, which falls into this liking and disliking. I like this, I don't like this. This kind of adamancy in the mind to stick on to this liking, these principles of liking, or these categories of liking, categories of disliking. So that will be broken even by practicing metta. This emotion, this wholesome feeling, this wholesome emotion, that will take your mind out of these extremes of liking and disliking, and that very pleasantness of this, that very wish itself, just like me, let he also be happy, he also be happy. My hostile, my enemies also be happy, the neutral people also be happy, the loved ones also be happy, respectable ones also be happy. That kind of wish is growing in the mind. Then automatically this falling into the trap of these likes and dislikes will go away. You'll start establishing this balance and peace and the harmony within. That is what is equanimity. And then, so that is one you can say, the index. when when your metta has become so, say, unconditional, so expansion, it's getting so expansivity, expanding like anything without any barriers, then you are progressing in equanimity. That in that way you can consider this expansion in metta is an index of your growth in equanimity. Definitely to some extent. Then the next feeling, your compassion. Again, by understanding. So this all beings, when they are carrying this body and mind, they have to face a lot of hardships, difficulties, suffering, pain. So that's because of that reason, there is no need to hate someone, no need to love too much someone. I should be more compassionate to everyone, just like me. I should be compassionate to myself. So that kind of compassion also, if you keep understanding thoroughly and keep radiating that compassion to all beings, again, irrespective of whether they are known people, unknown people, loved ones, or the enemies, respectable ones, or say wretched ones, or neutral ones, whether humans or animals, or any being anywhere in this universe. In that way, if you keep on stretching and expanding, then again you are progressing in this equanimity, because this liking and disliking, that will again, it will start melting. Even growing in expansion is growing in equanimity. Authoritatively, with some intelligence, if you're growing in compassion, of course, to develop compassion, definitely you require the support of intelligence of, say, everything, everyone is suffering. So then only you can grow in compassion. And as you keep growing and keep expanding in your compassion to all beings, whether they are loved ones or enemies, after all, suffering is suffering. It will not leave whether he is my loved one or he is my enemy. So in that way, if you keep growing, then again you are growing in equanimity. Your equanimity index is like say it's increasing, it's growing. In the same way, your appreciativeness and rejoicing in others' joy without jealousy and without say without enviousness. If you are simply okay, fine. So let me share. Let me share his joy. So in that way, without jealousy, without too much say criticism. Criticism is okay, good, but it is too much criticism. So after all, it's say let me not too much critical and analytical and create stress for me, stress for others. Let me simply appreciate the joy that is very much there in that person, this person. And again, you come out of this kind of say liking only few, disliking the others. Based on again your own say minus and I-ness. Simply start this appreciation with any person without any hindrance, without any liking and disliking, without any partialities or biasedness. So in this sympathetic joy or appreciative joy, if you are melting this again, this I-ness and minus, liking and disliking, wanting and hating, if you are melting it, then again you grow in equanimity. And you are growing in equanimity index. As your appreciative joy increases, your equanimity index also increases. And again, the fourth feeling, which is again the culmination of all these expanded metta, expanded karuna, expanded mudita, or this appreciative joy. It culminates in what is called the upeka. See, that's how these four brahmaviharas or wholesome feelings are arranged. First, metta, karuna, mudita, upeka. When all these three things are very much developed, then again you bring in this understanding of law of cause and effect. Everyone who is suffering or who is enjoying, it's his own karma, his own karma. He is reaping the benefits of his karma. Whatever out of compassion, out of appreciation, I can support them, help them, that much I can do. So in that kind of understanding your abilities, your limitations, and accordingly wishing them that let them be happy, let them develop what is good, understanding of what is good, what is bad, and thereby cultivate good. So in that way, based on this law of cause and effect, law of karma, wishing happiness for others, wishing wisdom and freedom and knowledge for others, and then focusing on your work, there your equanimity, it reaches its peak. And that's what is the fourth feeling, which is called upeksha or upekka. Some people they translate it as indifference. But actually, if you see the word meaning, upeksha, and that's what upeksha in all Indian languages, it has the meaning of being indifferent, being say say ignoring or just keeping away or being indifferent. That sense is also there. But here, in all these Buddhist scriptures or the Buddhist terminology of upeksha, it has this understanding part also. It has this true equanimity also. It's not just one blind indifference. It is becoming indifferent with understanding, with the understanding of this law of karma, law of cause and effect. So he is happy because of his good deeds, he is suffering because of his bad deeds. With that understanding, if you are compassionate to others, if you are appreciative of others, then you are progressing in this last, say, the culminated upeksha, that is your equanimity, that again comes in these four wholesome feelings. Okay, so in that way, even by understanding these wholesome feelings and cultivating these wholesome feelings, definitely you progress in your equanimity. That is one approach. Second approach is, again, as you have gone through in your meditation courses, the approach of developing the right confidence through Iddhipadas, like say accept instead of resisting everything, then your equanimity becomes blind equanimity or some kind of hateful equanimity, resisting equanimity or blind indifference it becomes. So by this my choice of whatever has bestowed upon me, has been say accepted, that has been like say uh, asked to do in this present situation, by accepting it, taking it as my choice, that is like say chanda, then again in that acceptance, if you maintain that balance, then it becomes the first level of equanimity. Then again bringing in this kind of willing, again willing to fulfill the task, that will increase your, definitely your, not only your energy levels, your willpower, it will increase your equanimity also. And you will not be, when you are full of this will and willpower, you will not be carried away by these likings and dislikings. You will not be affected by this praise and blame. You will not be affected by this loss and profit. And you will not be affected by this pain and happiness also. Because that very will put you in that state of equanimity, and it will give you a lot of energy. You see, that willing energy is also very much there. And that energy is absolutely a positive energy. It will keep away these extremes, which are called Attaloka Dhammas, extremes like this pairs, the four pairs of extremes, like profit and loss, like suffering and pain, like praise and blame. So these extremes are kept away, and you just focus on your present work with all that willing, with all that willpower. In that way also, you are progressing in equanimity by this virya or willing, or this willpower, or this effort or energetic efforts. So in that way, if you are progressing in this willing or willpower or virya, not just accepting as my choice, by applying this willing and willpower, again you are progressing in equanimity. Then having a fixed goal in any aspect, your profession or career or social life or political life or family life or in spiritual life, then again that way it acts like one say uh, your target or your focus. Again, you have to start your journey or you have to progress in reaching that journey. Means then again other things that say disturbs you, that deviates you, diverts you, that you automatically avoid and you keep focusing on your goal. And of course, again accepting the present moment, the means also you're not ignoring by taking it as my choice and I will. Chanda, Virya, having chitta on the goal. Again, these extremes of falling into too much giving or too much wanting, that you can keep away, that you have learned in the meditation courses. And again, diversions from the likings and dislikings. The people around you also, they have their own likings and dislikes. They try to induce those things, influence those things on you, and they try to disturb you. And because you are focused, again you will be out of those disturbances, and that's again equanimity. That's how again you are growing in equanimity. And then the Vimamsa realizing that I'm responsible, not blaming others. Blaming others, comparing with others, blaming others is one very, very horrible way of uh, uh, say carried away in these extremes and destroying your equanimity. Blaming others, blaming others for especially for the failures. So that again will affect your balance of mind. Then again it will make you to lose your focus, lose your willpower, lose your acceptance and my choice. And again, of course, your equanimity is lost. Finally, that ability to take responsibility will make you more equanimous. But more leadership, taking responsibility, having focusedness, having this willpower, mm, not having some ambiguous or some timidity or some kind of doubts, or accepting all these four iddhipadas also will increase your not only energy levels, not only your success quotient. This will increase definitely your success quotient and you progress in success index. You definitely progress in your equanimity index also. In the previous group of emotions, you definitely progress in your emotional quotient when you develop this loving kindness, compassion, appreciativeness, and this upeksha, the absolute equanimity. You not only increase your emotional quotient and progress in this emotional index, you definitely progress in equanimity quotient and equanimity index also. The same way here, you progress in success quotient and success index when you follow these success steps, the iddhipadas. And in addition to that, you progress in equanimity index and equanimity quotient also. The same way, your analytical index or analytical quotient or intelligence quotient, the people talk about, which is again, they talk about for your success, happiness, everything. So again, what is happiness, what is suffering, what is the cause of happiness, what is the cause of suffering, the Four Noble Truths, and what is Nitya, what is Anicca, what is permanent, what is impermanent, what is beautiful, what is not beautiful, Asubha and Subha, that is beautiful, not beautiful, and what is Atma or myself or self, what is not self. So this kind of correct understanding with right perception of these things about happiness, suffering, about permanent, impermanent, about soul, not soul, or self, not self, about beauty, not beauty. If these things are very correctly understood, critically analyzed and correctly understood, that again in the form of meditations you have learned, that right perception also, not only it will increase your intelligence quotient or analytical quotient, and you progress in your intelligence index, will definitely increase your equanimity index also, because again you come out of lot of extremes. Your understanding of this happiness and suffering, it will get fine tuning, and if you start appreciating this art of letting go and art of giving up, this art of giving up and letting go, with this understanding, with this willing, with this feeling, the more let go you learn, the more equanimous you become. First, you become indifferent by letting go. First, you become indifferent because at this very moment you can come out of lot of stress, lot of pressure by simply letting go, and then the mind will get some kind of peace, some degree of equanimity. From that equanimity level, then you start looking at the things with again with of course more awareness, more intelligence, more positive emotions or the wholesome emotions like this metta karana, wholesome, say your confidence factors like this success steps, chanda, virya, chitta, vimamsa. In that, with these factors, if you start looking at your mind, then your letting go becomes, say, more affirmative, more positive. So in that way, even this letting go, to start with, if it is a little bit of forced letting go, also it's okay. One should progress in this letting go. First with some forced uh, approach, then with wise approach of letting go. If you progress in letting go, that is what is actually the third noble truth. The third noble truth is all about the different ways and means to let go. So the more and more you let go about the past, let go about the future, just automatically mind will come to the present acceptance. You learn how to accept the past, accept the future, then accepting the present becomes fine. In that way, if you progress in understanding of the importance of letting go and say progress in this letting go, this index of letting go, then you progress in this equanimity. You become more equanimous with your disturbing emotions, disturbing uh, say this willing, even the willing, if it is not like say balanced, then it disturbs, then it makes you to wobble. If your analytical power also, if it is not say properly uh, supported with equanimity, then too much analytical mind also will make you discursive and it will create a lot of tension. That's what you can see now in the present world. People who think that they are very smart and they are very critical and analytical, because it is not supported by equanimity, they are going after it. They're losing their patience, their mental equanimity, poise, and they end up in lot of mental health issues because it's not supported by equanimity, even your intelligence and analytical powers. Hmm. So in that way, how these different approaches and the meditations that you have learned to build these three faculties of the mind, your emotional faculty, your confidence faculty, and your uh, analytical faculty, it should be supported by an understanding of letting go, an understanding of equanimity. Then definitely you progress in your success quotient, emotional quotient, intelligence quotient. Then once you are progressing in these quotients, automatically you are progressing in your equanimity quotient and in this equanimity index also. Then the other very powerful faculty of the mind, that is your awareness faculty, that also is very, very directly proportional to your equanimity. The more awareness you have, the more mindfulness you have, then definitely the more equanimity you will be having. Hmm. So all mindfulness techniques are these meditative techniques, and again which will take you to from this mindfulness to stillness, concentration, settling the mind on one thing. That comes from bringing the mind to the say a few very, very authoritative present things, especially like the present sounds, present sensations, present breath, Mm. And all these sense objects, if you bring in the mind to these present sense objects, sense impressions, and again without reacting to them, then you are developing your mindfulness. Okay, and then if you settle on only one thing more authoritatively, and if you can able to transcend even your mind sense, not only transcending the physical senses, can transcend the mind sense, then uh, you will establish what is called the stillness and concentration, the absorption. Then definitely that meditativeness, mindfulness, stillness, and concentration of the mind will definitely increase your equanimity also. That way, mindfulness is also, or concentration is also directly related to your equanimity if it is followed, practiced correctly, objectively, correctly, authoritatively. If you practice, then you progress in your equanimity with this art of letting go, with this intelligence, with this confidence, with these emotions, pure emotions. Equanimity should be supported to. It should be. It should support all these wholesome feelings, wholesome perceptions, and in turn, these wholesome feelings, wholesome perceptions will support equanimity. They go hand in hand. They support each other in this when we are developing all these four faculties of mind. The same way, awareness or this mindfulness will support equanimity, and equanimity will support the mindfulness. That is the role of the right view. The right view should be always whatever right view you are developing with regard to the four faculties of the mind, right awareness, right emotions, right confidence, right intelligence, or right analysis, right analytical power. If all these things are supported by equanimity, not falling into the extremes, with absolute awareness and balance, then you are into this right view mind cultivation. That means equanimity is an integral part in all kinds of developing your mind. For all these four faculties of the mind, the different techniques and meditations you are practicing, if it is supported by equanimity, if it is supported by this art of balancing, art of letting go, art of this knowledge of four noble truths, this knowledge of anicca, dukkha, anatta. So these things are supported, and because of that, your equanimity is supporting all these mind developing techniques. Then you are progressing in this equanimity index. In addition to your success index, your say emotional quotient, you got your intelligence quotient, you got your awareness quotient. All these things also are developing. So you are developing in equanimity also. In that way, you should understand that right view approach each and every you are progressing in equanimity. So in that way, equanimity is an integral part in the mind development, the mind purification, the mind liberation. In that way, you can relate this equanimity index with the enlightenment index also. There are so many things. So what after all is enlightenment? Like transcending this body and mind, transcending this the impact of the sense impressions, not getting carried away with these sense impressions through these five senses, and thereby transcending the body, and not to get carried away by the mind impressions, and transcending this mind. That is what is the enlightenment index, and that you achieve with this right view, wholesome feelings, right view awareness, or the mindfulness techniques, or the stillness, concentration, and insight techniques. The right view, this understanding techniques like the four noble truths and all these things. All these things, what's happening? You are growing in your enlightenment, and whatever authoritatively you're experiencing the light, and you're transcending even this light, it becomes brighter and brighter, and that's what many people they conclude as enlightenment. And And if you progress in that, this transcending body and mind by experiencing light, and if you transcend that light also, then you end up in that absolute enlightenment. And in all these different steps of enlightenment, it should be supported with growing equanimity also, because you experience a lot of joy and a lot of thrill and a lot of excitement in each step of this mind purification, and the different symptoms that you experience in this mind purification, that will thrill you, that will excite you. There also you have to maintain equanimity. Then you can go to the next step. If you get carried away with that excitement, then your mind again falls into ups and downs, and you will not progress in enlightenment. That way, equanimity and enlightenment, they go together. As you keep progressing in equanimity, you keep progressing in enlightenment also. When you enter into these insight knowledges about the ultimate nature of body, ultimate nature of mind, there also you end up in a lot of excitement. When you realize something new, when you start discovering something new, definitely the mind gets excited. Because I discovered something like that, some defilements will start appearing in the mind. Again, at that time, if you learn how to maintain equanimity, then you can go to the next step. Otherwise, that disturbed mind, it will again miss the new discoveries, and you may corrupt whatever discovery that you already made, and you may fall down. So in that way, equanimity comes into picture in all kinds of progress, in all fields of progress, whether it is like, say, if you're progressing in your profession or career, you get affected with some excitement. If you're progressing, if you learn this is excitement and it's okay, let go, then try to maintain the equanimity, then you can go ahead. If you get carried away with that excitement of whatever success, whatever progress, whatever confidence, whatever wholesome feeling, whatever happiness, then that very excitement will affect and corrupt the mind, and you will fall down or you will go in the opposite direction. So that is, say, it holds good with regard to enlightenment also. So in that way, for transcending the bodily sense impressions through the five senses, like, say, if you are aware of the sounds, and if your mind becomes more and more thrilled with being aware of very subtle sounds, if you get excited, if you maintain the calmness, the equanimity, then you can able to note the gap, the silence between even those subtle sounds. That's how you can derive in that silence the brightness, or you can derive the absolute realization of that emptiness and the silence, and that's what is the progress in enlightenment or liberation. The same way with regard to the sensation. If you, from the grass to the subtle sensations, if your mind start noting, if you get excited, then you can't find out the gap between the sensations. Then you don't progress in the four elements that are responsible for these sensations. Then you don't progress in the enlightenment and liberation. The same thing with all other senses and sense impressions. The same thing with your stillness, concentrations, and your insight knowledges. With each insight knowledge, with each absorption, the jhanas, you get some kind of excitement. You don't realize that your mind is excited, and if you don't know how to settle down it, calm down it, and become equanimous, then you don't progress upwards. Then you don't go to higher levels of the absorption or liberation or insight knowledge. In that way, equanimity is directly proportional to enlightenment. Higher the equanimity, especially at these deeper levels of discovery of the senses, sense objects, of the emotions, subtle emotions, no emotions, the confidence, subtle confidence, and beyond that confidence, and intelligence beyond intelligence, awareness beyond awareness. All these progresses are possible with equanimity only. In that way, equanimity index and this, of course, emotional index and enlightenment index, especially enlightenment index. They are related. Higher the equanimity, higher will be the enlightenment. So in that way, equanimity has very crucial role in developing all faculties of the mind and also in progressing in enlightenment, the mind liberation. So of course, for the in the day-to-day life also, it has a lot of importance in your uh, progress in your career, in your profession, in your health. If your mind is so much obsessed to this kind of excitements and disappointments, it will affect your mind also. It will affect your health also. It will affect your profession also. It will affect your career also. Such mind is a weak mind. In the Buddha's teachings, in so many aspects, Buddha used to teach the importance of equanimity, even with laughing also. If somebody laughs with so much excitement without the control of the body and mind, then he says that is very gross, that personality, that person is a very low person. If there is some subtleness, if there is some control, then the too much excitement is like, say, it will not be expressed in his behavior. The arahants, they smile very gently, very slightly, in a very rare occasion. Always they look very pleasant, very equanimous. So the more disturbed with your excitements and disappointment, that is more lowly. Definitely your disappointments, your anxiety, your long face, your suffering is like, say, you are not at all progressing either spiritually or worldly. That is the indication. And even with your excitements also, if a person is too much excited, too much bodily movements in his talking, laughing and all because of the excitement, it is on lowly behavior, lowly personality. That way Buddha talks about this kind of different levels of laughing and smiling. The more refined, the more gentle, the more subtle, even the laughing and smiling, his mind is more equanimous. And Arhant's smile is very subtle. And in one place, Buddha says, Konuhaso Kimanando. Why laughing? Why all this excitement? The burning. You should always see in this excitement, there is inherent disappointment. In all these disappointments, you should see that inherent expectation for excitement. The mind, when it is carried away in this kind of excitements and disappointments, then such a mind is a low mind. That's what Buddha highlights in so many ways. Even when he explains about the Buddhist cosmology, the low beings only, they are prone to excitements and disappointments. They have very least equanimity status. As you progress from the human realms to the divine realms to the Brahmic realms and the Arupa Brahma realms and to, let us say, the Nibbana, the absolute, the Arhant's mind also, where the Arhants could see Nibbana. And the more balance, more equanimity, more true happiness of equanimity, true happiness of wisdom and freedom, true happiness of liberation. You can see in these different planes of existence, this Buddhist cosmology also. So higher the equanimity, higher the success in spirituality, higher the success in profession, higher the success in even the personal relations also, even in a family also, even with your loved ones, with your intimate relations also, there should be that skillfulness of being intimate at the same time becoming equanimous. When the things are going in a wrong way, one should learn how to become equanimous. So in that way, equanimity comes into picture in all kinds of relations, all kinds of in all fields of life, with your employees, with your employers, with your friends, with your say relatives, in all aspects. should enjoy that particular relation, particular say, feeling with that particular relative, that is a friend or employee or intimate relation. At the same time, because as I was telling you, so when there is some kind of in all kinds of relations, some excitement, some thrill is there, but it goes in the other way also. At that time, if you don't have equanimity, then everything will be broken. All kinds of relations will be broken if you don't have equanimity. In all the relations also, if you bring in this understanding of equanimity, your ability to let go the things and just become calm, normal, still, receptive, and let go. If those abilities are not there, then no relation will prolong, no relation will sustain. So even in the so-called very exciting, very thrilling relations also, the role of equanimity is there. If it is not supported by equanimity, then nothing will remain, even for a little time, even for some time also it will not remain. Always it should be blended with equanimity. All relations also should be blended with equanimity. So then, as I was telling you, it becomes like the ground for your wisdom and freedom. It becomes the ground for your compassion and true love. That's what everybody looks for. If you are simply exciting, if you are simply say, getting thrilled, so in a long term, nobody will appreciate it. And no success will embrace you with that kind of temperament, that kind of personality, that kind of behavior. All your enjoyments, all your excitements, all your joys of life, all your happinesses of life, it should be ingrained or it should be associated with, or it should have the backup of equanimity. Then only it will sustain, then only it will act as a ground for your progress, then only it will act as a, a ground for your true compassion, true love, true happiness, and that is only is appreciated by everyone. So it will that appreciation, that acceptance by everyone of that kind of personality only, it will progress in all aspects, in all fields of life. Okay. So in that way, as I was telling you, understanding equanimity, and then this equanimity index is nothing but the scale, the ways and means you progress in equanimity. That I was telling you with regard to the 4 ways of developing your wholesome feelings, the 4 ways of developing your confidence, the 4 ways of developing your intelligence, analytical intelligence, and the different ways and means of developing your mindfulness and your mind stillness. In all these aspects, if they are cultivated properly, equanimity is also progressing, and that is what is equanimity quotient or equanimity index. So all these emotional quotient, intelligence quotient, confidence quotient, and awareness quotient, if they are increasing, then your emotion, this equanimity quotient is also increasing. That is what is the equanimity index. And your equanimity index is increasing, then if it is increasing correctly, then you are actually say progressing in the enlightenment also. In that way, all these 4 faculties of the mind, awareness, intelligence, or this you can say analytical intelligence, or your confidence and your emotions, and if you call them as the modern, so the fancy terms they use, emotional quotient, intelligence quotient, analytical quotient, confidence quotient, and awareness quotient. If you are progressing correctly, then you are progressing in equanimity. Conversely also, the other alternatively also, if you are progressing in your equanimity, then you can progress in all these 4 kinds of mind development. And that is actually indication, or that is the quotient of your enlightenment also, the index of your progress in enlightenment also. Not only your progress in your profession or in your career or in your relation, the family, or in the society. It is the quotient, it is the index for progressing enlightenment also. It is the enlightenment factor. Buddha says, Sati, Dhamma, Vichaya, Virya, Priti, Pasati, Samadhi, Upekka. Upekka is the last enlightenment factor. Progress in Sati is this mindfulness, and keep progressing in your willpower, your energy levels, and then your inner joy, and then the tranquility of the mind, and your concentration of the mind, and then you end up in equanimity only, authoritative enlightenment factor. The equanimity of the last one, Upekka, is the enlightenment factor that will take you to enlightenment. That's why it's called an enlightenment factor. Sambodhjanga. The four wholesome feelings also, Upekka is given the highest place. And in all the enlightenment factors also, Upekka is given the highest place. Absolute Upekka, if you achieve your mindfulness, if you achieve through wholesome feelings, then only that is the transition where you can achieve your enlightenment also. That is the assurance given by the Christ. In that way, for your spiritual success, for all kinds of balancing, to as a ground for your wisdom and freedom, compassion, and true love, as the ground for your progress in any field. This equanimity is an integral part, integral thing. So in that way, develop these different kinds of perception, feelings in an authoritative way. Then automatically you are in this correct way, right way, in step by step way, in a methodical way. Then you will not fall into the trap of the excitements and disappointments, and we will be always having that ability to balance, ability to keep the mind in an equanimous state. That is what is the takeaway from this talk. And let us see, there are so many other thoughts and discourses related to this equanimity. If there is a need, we will continue this series of talks on equanimity and equanimity index. Today, I think this much is enough. If you have some quick questions, you can ask, and then we'll come. Any questions?
Namaste, Banteji. A question from Shruti Joshi ma'am, Banteji. She's asking, Vandami Banteji, how to support analytical power with equanimity? Please explain in more detail. Thank you.
So this analytical mind, like say these four noble truths and all, it all comes under this this perception only. So if you are very sure that the craving is the cause of suffering, and giving up or letting go, the ability to let go more and more, that is the way to get true happiness. Then the more let go, the more giving up, the more giving. So it will make you, like say it will make you say not to, so as I was telling you, this wanting is the main reason for this excitement and disappointment. Whatever you are wanting, you get it, you get excited. Whatever you are wanting, you don't get it, you get disappointed. But this very wanting is dangerous. That's what you realize. Then automatically you don't get into the trap of this wanting, and thereby you will not be affected by this excitement and disappointment. And in that way, this understanding or this analytical understanding of our noble truth itself will make you to let go this very idea of wanting, rather substitute it with giving or giving up. So in that expectationless giving or giving up, you simply give for the sake of giving, to unburden yourself. And there you will not be affected with this the so-called excitement and disappointment. In all the true services, on all the true givings, in all the true letting goes, this is what is the right wisdom. I'm giving and giving up and letting go for the sake of it, for unburdening myself from this burden of wanting, burden of these defilements that will arise in my mind because of this wanting, craving, which is the cause of suffering. If I get it, I get excited. I may want, I may crave more. If I don't get it, I may fall into disappointment. And again, that will disturb my mind. That will take me to low. So let me give up this very idea of wanting, and let me enter into this plane of giving. If that kind of understanding, if you develop with this right perception of the Four Noble Truths, Asukha and Sukha, let us say, then automatically your mind establishes in equanimity. Is it not? Because you have attacked with your analytical mind, with your intelligence. The very core of this excitement and disappointment, both are suffering, which comes from wanting. That very wanting you are hitting with this understanding, with this knowledge of the importance of letting go, importance of giving and giving up is the cause of happiness, the third and fourth noble truth. So in that way, you're hitting the very core of suffering with this understanding, with this knowledge, with this analytical intelligence. Then automatically that very intelligence will make your mind very calm, very, very fun, very, very peaceful. And of course, you will start practicing the art of letting go, art of giving up, and art of giving also. In that way, this very understanding also will make your mind very equanimous. Because in the same way, then the other perception, let us say, the perception of Asubha and Subha, like beauty and ugliness. When you perceive some body as beautiful, then either it excites you, thinking that you are getting it, and if it is like, say, after getting it also, there is nothing like beauty. If it is more dirty and it is more repulsive, that disappoints. So that very understanding of the so-called this body is like, say, it is full of repulsiveness or loathsomeness, that there is no need to be excited, there is no need to be being affected with this dirtiness. That's what is the nature. So the truth liberates the mind. The truth makes the mind more equal. That's what is the power of truth. So in all these analytical perceptions or this analytical knowledge about different perceptions about happiness and suffering, about beauty and ugliness, about permanence and impermanence, about the very life. If you are so much attached to life, then something happened to your body or somebody dies, then the mind gets completely disturbed. So when you accept that this is impermanent, then automatically the mind gets equanimity. Is it not? So in that way, all these right perceptions, for that matter, all the teachings of Buddha are right perceptions only, right analytical understanding only about the nature of the world, nature of the mind, nature of happiness, nature of suffering. So these things, if you start analyzing correctly and understanding correctly, then automatically that very knowledge, that very truth is a liberator. Truth is the cause for achieving equanimity. That very truth, the very noble truth, very ultimate truths about permanence, impermanence, about self, non-self. You attach yourself to something as self, this body as self, to the feelings as self, to the awareness as self. And if it changes, then you get disturbed, then you get affected. Then you understand this non-self, then you will not attach yourself to any of these things as self. Then again, mind gets lot of equanimity. In that way, analytical intelligence, it adds up to your wisdom. Wisdom in turn, it will make you more equanimous. So in that way, anything that adds up to your freedom and wisdom, definitely it will add up to your equanimity. Everything has these mutual relations. More you develop equanimity, the more wisdom and freedom we will develop. The more truthfulness we can achieve. The more truthful you become, the other way around, that is, your equanimity also develops. So that's what is your analytical intelligence will make you. That's how the analytical intelligence will make you more equanimous. With your analytical intelligence, you're hitting the core of these disturbances, the core of mind falling into that. Once that very core is being hit by this analytical intelligence, then definitely you achieve equanimity. That is the relation between analytical intelligence and equanimity. Okay.
Next question is from Bhavani Chandrasekhar ma'am, Banteji. Vandami Banteji, whenever I see people wearing beautiful dresses and jewelry, I'm not able to restrain. Please help me how to deal with this sort of situations.
Not able to
restrain.
Not able to relish.
Restrain.
Restrain.
Yes, Banteji. RESTRAIN.
Not able to restrain means like she wants to go and grab those things, huh? Those beautiful things from them, and she want to have it for herself. Repeat the question.
Sure, Banteji. Vandami Banteji, whenever I see people wearing beautiful dresses and jewelry, I'm not able to restrain. Please help me how to deal with this sort of situations.
All this is very, very lowly, very, very very silly way of handling the life. Spiritual progress is like, say, not being affected by this being affected by this these worldly things. If you can't restrain yourself by looking at others wearing these good dresses and all. So what does it mean? The mind is so weak, like small children, even the two very, very greedy children, they have this kind of mindsets. This shows that completely they're off track. They don't have even the basics of spirituality. This kind of very, very silly cravings, silly mindset. After all, minding one's own mind is spirituality. Minding one's own, say, the purification of mind, progressing in the true happiness oneself. If these small temptations or these small things that are around you, if those things disturbs me, means like the very basic steps of spirituality, they have not understood. So the attachment to these very petty things, and then and comparing and being, say, carried away with these petty things, which are being, say, other people are simply holding on to, simply attached to. Those very petty things are affecting me, means like this is too lowly kind of leading life. Such people, they can't progress in spirituality. So they don't have any purpose in life, the purpose in purifying their mind, purpose in achieving something in the say in their profession or for the family, or for the society. They're too like say childish, this absolute childishness, where completely the mind is unfocused, completely imbalanced. Such kind of disturbances are affecting, means like completely the life is out of control. There is no proper understanding about the purpose in life, progressing in life, for these very cheap temptations. Such people should start from this meritorious actions. They should learn this sort of developing in these meritorious actions like generosity, morality, bit of meditation, bit of service. Then they will get some purpose in life. They can understand some purpose in life. And then all these silly things will not disturb them. Okay, next question.
Next question is from Shruti Joshi ma'am. Vandami Banteji, too little body movements is said as person may be rigid, stubborn, not opening up. In psychology, body movements has importance to diagnose a person. Please share your views on this.
What is the first sentence? This question.
Too little body movements is said as person may be too little
What little body?
too little
Too little body movements. Okay.
body movements.
Yeah.
Said as person may be rigid, stubborn, not opening up. In psychology, body movements has importance to diagnose a person.
Okay.
Please share your views on
Okay.
this.
Yeah, it's in psychology or some people, so many these modern gurus and all, they simply just let go everything by dancing, by freely free walking, says freely moving your hands. You should walk freely that way. The opening up everything, even with your body movements. That's what they insist in so many spiritual say organizations and of course psychologists. So it's because they say this force, too much force, too much control, too much force people out, too much pressurized. That may again like a pressure cooker, it may act, and then it leads to a lot of fears and it leads to a lot of anxieties. Because of that reason, little bit of freeness in the body movements, they definitely expect. Because of that reason, there's some spiritual organizations also completely laughing or even shouting or crying or dancing. So all these things, screaming, all these, so many things to burst out and to open up their say pressure. They insist in many spiritual healing techniques also, spiritual healing therapies also. In the same way, the the psychotherapists also, they want their patients to be free and to be open up. So that is okay, that is good. But I am talking about this kind of say the thing that I have examples that I have given. It's like say complete understanding with complete mindfulness. If you are completely mindful, then you don't move your hands, don't move your body, don't move your head, and don't say laugh unmindfully. When you are developing this mindfulness and equanimity, then if you are say according to your reactive mind, your emotional mind, you're simply unmindfully moving your body and all, then you are getting carried away in these excitements and disappointments. Such people only, they move their body and mind unmindfully. But once you progress in this mindfulness, once you progress in this say this emotional equanimity, once you progress in confidence equanimity, then your body movements also becomes say more majestic or more mature, and each and every body movement is out of complete mindfulness. No body movement. For example, some people simply they move their neck with their too much emotions. With some people they simply move their hands with too much excitements and emotions. That means they don't have balance, they don't have equanimity, they are carried away with their excitement and their emotional excitement, the excitement in the mind, it is making their body also to move in that uncontrolled fashion. That is what is the indication. Just to make the person to come out of this kind of very too much pressurized feelings and thereby the body is too rigid, then for such people one should open up them by freely moving their body so that their mind also will open up. Skillfully you can make them to simply free up their body, thereby they can free up their mind. But when they are growing in equanimity, so then you should make them to be mindful about the body. That is what is kayanupassana. So when you are mindful of your body movements, then you will not allow these body movements according to your excitements, according to your emotions. Because the emotions are under control or under equanimity, under balance, and the body also will be under control, under balance. The converse, the other way is also right. When you have complete mindfulness on the body movements, then automatically mind also come to some degree of balance and mindfulness and equanimity. In that sense, so one should have developed mindfulness of the body, and one should not allow these episode or excited body. In that sense, I told about these different kinds of laughing and smiling. But in this psychotherapy approach, or in this some organizations, some spiritual organizations, which promote this kind of opening up. So there, of course, when the emotions are too much hidden, too much pressurized to be within oneself, and thereby the bodies have become too rigid. Rigidness is not an equanimous controlledness. Don't say misunderstand, or don't bring in this holding on the body too rigidly out of fear, out of pressure, and the controlling the body movements too gracefully, too majestically with mindfulness. They're different. They're completely different. They're absolutely opposite. Because of too much pressure and too much tension, some people completely they make their bodies rigid. That is, of course, they're completely away from equanimity. That we are not actually discussing. But of course, as a therapy, one can make them to be free and just laugh, just smile, just open up emotionally. During that time, if there is a lot of body movement, it's okay. But once that freeness has happened in the body and the mind, then when you are teaching the mindfulness, when you are teaching the wholesome emotions, then you are helping them to develop this all kinds of emotional mindfulness, awareness mindfulness, intelligence mindfulness, and this confidence mindfulness. Then that very mindfulness will say that very alertness of the mind will make the body also to be alert, not simply get carried away in this excitements or disappointments. So that is a completely different way of say looking at this equanimity. In the first case, where it is too rigid, the body, then you can definitely easily understand that the mind has become too rigid, too closed. In the other case, the body is still means it is not because of that too closed emotions. It is because of understanding the body and mind thoroughly with equanimity. And as an expression of that equanimity, also the body is still and body is stable and body is graceful, body is majestic. That majesty and grace is completely different from the rigidness and tightness of the body that you can see in the case of such mentally disturbed people, mentally pressurized people. Of course, for such people, one can use the techniques of opening up with some kind of positive emotion. And from positive emotions, one should take them up towards equanimity and more objective mindfulness or proactive mindfulness. When the mind is full of tightness, it should be opened up with these positive emotions. The tightness is because of negative emotion. So that is the path. The tight negative emotions to free positive emotions. And even the free positive emotions also that will make you excited and it will make you lose your equanimity. From that stage, again bring in all these right view approaches of mindfulness, of say matured emotions like this metta, karuna, upekha, and then bring in that mindfulness aspect, matured equanimity aspects. Then that is the right way to develop equanimity. Okay, so these are the different steps from the too rigidness to relaxedness, and that relaxedness should not become excitement. From that relaxedness, one should take them towards the mindfulness and other equanimity building, this right view approaches, right view meditation. Okay, so that is the approach. But one should not get confused with this negatively bound bodies or equanimously say suffused bodies. There is a difference between the stability in the body because of equanimity and the rigidness in the body because of too much pressure in the mind. Okay. Next question.
No more
That's-
questions, Bhanteji. Yes.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyan nidukko aham nicha aham viya dacha me sukhi hontu majjata chatavedinu imam hi gammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada tato parancharadjesu chakkavale sujantano sukhi hontu mangalam. May all of you be happy and peaceful. May all beings also be happy and healthy and peaceful. May all of you progress in this mind development, mind purification through this right emotions, right awareness, right mindfulness, right confidence, right intelligence, and thereby progress in equanimity.
Thank you, Bhanteji.
Sukhi hontu.